shit. Okay, so we just got back from the greatest comedy of all year. Unintentional comedy. Mechanic.
What you expect?
Resurrection.
Come on.
I mean, look at the name by itself.
I spent my whole life setting people up to die, set you up to live.
Now, summer gets explosive.
They're relentless, aren't they?
So am I.
Jason Statham, Jessica Alba, Tommy Lee Jones.
I never imagined that dying would be so damn invigorating.
Mechanic Resurrection.
But in fact, nobody was going to this movie. We were the only ones filling up the theater. The Angry Army filled up the theater. So we got Beard here, we got Pete, our pilot, we got Jesse in the background.
We got.
It was the best romantic comedy of 2016.
Robert said it's the best romantic comedy of 2016. Wow. I don't know where to start. Basically, we had to jam everybody in because we want to spoil the shit out of this movie because it's not worth going to. Remember what I said about Don't Breathe?
No,
I take it back. This is a terrible film.
Don't Breathe
It's
is
like what
worse.
Pete said, though. It's what Pete said. Summer blockbusters are dying down.
Right.
This is a good, cheesy, like 80s, 90s action
This is
film. Come
hilarious.
on.
It's like a
This is-
Bollywood movie.
This
dude.
I think it's gonna give Sharknado a run for its money.
I agree with that.
No,
Oh, yeah.
this is a film that's so bad it borderlines on funny and entertaining in my sense. Now I had 3 beers. So, and y'all are questionable as well. We've all been drinking.
No,
We
I'm
haven't-
DD.
Must disclose.
I'm the DD.
Joe, so Joe hasn't been drinking. Was
I'm
the
just a
movie
party killer.
Yes.
Okay, so the story is, get this, Jason Statham is basically a contract killer who his specialty is to make people die look like accidents, right?
Yeah.
And he's hiding in Brazil.
Rio,
And this movie is basically just a big excuse to show off really beautiful locations. If you want to see beautiful locations, check it out. Except for the hilarious part. But let
And then
me,
soundstage.
yeah, and sound stages.
It's
That's
really
what I
good
was gonna
sound
say.
stages.
Okay, so basically. Jessica Alba and Tommy Lee Jones are in this film for no apparent reason. So Jessica Alba shows up as a character meant to entice Jason, meant to manipulate Jason to go on a killing spree for an arms dealer who wants his competition killed.
Yeah.
And they set it up like a video game. Here's boss number 1, boss number 2, boss number 3. Kill all these guys, I'll give you your girlfriend back. So he sends Jessica Alba to fall in love with him, and he's like, he sent you to fall in love with me, didn't you? And she's like, yes. And he's like,
Yeah, he's like,
I
here's
fell
a
in love
plan.
with you.
He's like, here's a plan. This is what's gonna go down. Okay, let's follow the plan.
About 10 minutes after meeting this chick, he's in love with her.
Yeah, like
It's Jessica Alba.
Exactly.
that is true.
Exactly.
That is
Who's
absolutely
not gonna
true.
fall in love with him?
No, that's just Joe. They
love
take
it.
ample
She's so
time.
hot.
They take ample time for her to be in her bikini and just in these
They have-
pointless
Oh yeah, they show her off in her bikini
It's
plenty.
shoved.
Pointless
That's
underwater.
shoved in your face.
shoved in your face.
She's like,
The whole thing.
I'm Jessica Alba.
and I'm swimming underwater. Poor Jessica Alba, man. She just can't. Or maybe this is just her where she needs to be, and she knows she needs to be.
Hey, whatever gets her the
these-
most money,
in
man.
these
Whatever.
ace and okay, that was terrible. And this was a hilarious movie. So they set up these 3 bosses, and he says, "Go kill these guys, or you'll never get your girlfriend back." So then he goes over and he kills all of them. He has these elaborate plans to make them all look like accidents, but none of them look like accidents except for one, the pool. One of the guys is rich in Australia, and he's got this, I don't know, I guess this exists for real.
They do exist, yeah.
These platform pools where
I would
he's in
never
the
do it.
skyscraper.
They're bottomless, yeah, you
Bottomless
look
pools. And so the only cool thing in this film are maybe 2 or 3 segments where he's like, doing his mechanic shit,
Yeah.
right?
Why did they
where he's
call
like
him that?
doing things together and putting things and mixturing different formulas
mechanic.
to crack glass in
Della, this is a reboot. This is a
Okay.
reboot from 1972. This is a Charles Bronson series.
I
gotta
So they've
ask-
taken the name and they've.
I
tried
think-
to-
I was wondering about that. I was like, Mechanic Resurrection. I was like,
Yeah.
was there a first Mechanic with
Yeah.
Jason?
So-
Or were they just counting the Transporter films as the first Mechanic?
Yes.
This film looks like basically a direct-to-DVD film.
Oh.
This is a direct-to-DVD film. It has no business being in the theater.
I don't understand. It was like,
Every shot, except for some of the beautiful locations, they're on a fucking soundstage with some of the worst green screening we've ever seen.
the part where he's on his little skiff and he's like bouncing and they're throwing water at him as he's behind a backdrop. It's so good.
It's pitch black and he's on a jet ski and it looks fake as
Oh,
fuck.
my
They're,
God.
they're just throwing water at him.
Every scene on the big head boss's yacht, there's this really weird blur effect that you see behind everybody's bodies, and you can clearly tell it's on a soundstage or some sort of green screen or a very small lake instead of an
Obviously,
actual
they didn't have high
ocean.
hopes for this movie, so the budget was kind of tight. Okay?
I will say they saved the budget for getting everybody to vacation in Thailand.
Pretty
Because
much.
they were there.
I think this was an excuse for the cast and crew and director to go to, because the locations are vast. They go to Brazil, they go to Thailand, they go to Australia, they go to some other place.
But they apparently
Something
can't.
like that.
They apparently
United States.
They can't afford to actually be on a lake or water the entire time. They couldn't afford.
They
They were
used
like,
up
dude,
all their budget."
all the budget went to Tommy Lee Jones and Jessica Alba, dude. So
No, I love the
soundstage.
explosion effects.
At one
Like
point,
they were made in like 3D Max or something, like the default explosion.
so I went to this film to watch Jason Statham kick ass. That's all I wanted. And he kicks ass a little bit at the beginning, and the film starts strongly, you know?
Yeah.
Where it's like, you know, he's hiding, and it turns out he goes to this bar where this Asian chick notices he walks in, and you're like, who is this girl? And she jumps, sits right next to him, and is like, here's what you're gonna do for us. We found you. You're gonna kill these 3 people, and if you don't, then you're not gonna have a very good time. And he looks around, and she's got a bunch of
yeah,
cronies.
He's like,
that-
you're not gonna have a really good time.
Yeah, and so Jason kind of like takes a moment to think about it, but then without any warning, he grabs the table and shoves it towards her, and she's like, and her dress goes everywhere, and like he beats the hell out of everybody there, and he's like, no, he's like, I'm not doing this, and then it cuts to Thailand.
No, you forgot the part where he's on top of the flying crane thing, and then he just jumps off into the glider.
He got into the hang glider.
Oh my god. He literally jumps off to his death. He commits suicide. Jason committed suicide, but it just so happened that a hang glider was gliding around. He lands on the little parachute area of the hang glider, or the little, you know.
Which doesn't get phased at all.
Oh my
It doesn't even like slightly go down. It's just like
and the
totally
chick-
solid.
The chick who's doing the hang glider, she's like, oh, what about
We
that
never see.
I'm an expert in these matters, and that is completely accurate.
Yeah. And then,
He gives this girl that he met for like 12 hours his most prized possession in the world, which was his
Father's
dad's
watch.
And even like they have a scene where the bad guy is like, he never had a weakness, but I knew that when he gave you that watch, you were his crush.
And you think this is a parody. You keep waiting for.
And she's like, my watch.
You keep waiting for the film to subvert itself. You're like, you know, clearly Jessica Alba is there to entrap him, and she's like, you know, he wants you to fall in love with me, and you're not, and he's like, I fell in love with you. Yeah, but he doesn't ever say that, you know. But it's like that trope. There's never a twist there, but you keep waiting for a twist. Maybe she's an assassin gonna kill him or something. And then he gives her this watch, and you think, oh, this watch is it's a spy thing. He's gonna use it to track her down or something.
what I thought.
No, it's just a fucking watch, and it really is a symbol of his love. Over 12 minutes of meeting her, it's a symbol of love. And even his
Love at first sight.
even the main bad guy, who apparently has a vendetta for Jason to kill him because they were boys together being trained
As child soldiers.
As child soldiers, and Jason was the one to escape, and now
He
won't-
felt betrayed.
He
because
felt
left
betrayed.
him there.
And so that was why he wanted to kill him. That's why he kind of knew Jason a little bit, and then beat the fuck. And then this proceeds to be worth the price of admission alone. After he successfully kills his two of the targets. The third one is Tommy Lee Jones. Can't kill Tommy Lee Jones. So that's where they do the twist, where he's like, "Hey, Tommy," he like breaks into his mega secure area, and underground with fingerprint things, and just I don't know, but he's there. And Tommy Lee Jones is like, "Where is he?" And he's like, "He's in here with me, you idiots." And Tommy,
I'm still curious. How the fuck did he get into the safe
room? Right, he's there. Whatever. So basically, he's like, "Let's ally together and beat up this guy." But what's worth it is when Jason goes after the guy on the boat. The whole scene on the boat.
It's worth mentioning that he does it twice. After he kills the second guy, he goes to the boat, kills like 14 of these guys' guards, and then he's like taking him down below, and he's like, "Yeah, I still got your girlfriend. Go beat him up downstairs." So he kills like 4 more people and then leaves. And the guy calls him and is like, "If you do that again, I'm killing your girlfriend."
But the best part, he just leaves Jessica there, and he goes underwater and he takes off, and it fades, and you're like, "What the fuck just happened?" He just beat up all these guys. He killed so many people. And then the greatest part of the movie, there is a generic voiceover from the boss saying, "If you pull a stunt like that again, you'll kill it." But then after he says it, he goes, "Your next target is this guy with this," and he's like, "He's from this area and he does this," and I'm like, when did this ever happen? Is a little earpiece? Did he talk to him previously? But no, it's literally
Skype.
It is a disembodied voice telling him what to do. The editing is terrible.
But we gotta talk about, so like the first two are all, he tries to set him up as accidents. That's like his entire thing. And then the third guy, he's like gonna go attack the boat because he's working with Tommy Lee Jones. And so he sets up all these accidents in this submarine bay when these guys are coming in. And so like he puts an M60 with like 100 rounds on a string with like a pole and grenades and doors and shit.
He's the mechanic. And he makes it look like accidents.
So they're like coming in and like they're all on this boat. And they
oh my god, I'm so sorry.
He could have just killed them all on the boat, but he's like, "No, it's gotta look like an accident." And so they like trip, and they're all being shot, and they're like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa," and he's like, "It's an accident." I'm sorry. Stop falling on my bullets.
The grenade that falls out of the door handle.
You dropped it.
Okay.
You clumsy motherfucker. Oh, whoops.
These people are randomly exploding.
We've lost all structure to the review now, but it is hilarious. So what I'm trying to say is the price of the movie was worth it for us with a few beers in us. In this final scene where the second time he goes back to the boat,
it's the same time he kills the same people over again.
It is one ridiculous a parody thing after, this film would be so much better if it was parodying itself, but it wasn't. It was deadly serious. At one point, you think that he's gonna die because there are 7 or 8 dudes with guns pointed at him, and he's got one guy in front of him, and what he does is he spins the guy around. While spinning him around, he engages a grenade, takes the pin out of the grenade, holds him forward, and the guy explodes. But it only explodes in one direction, perfectly killing all 7 guys.
He turned him into a claymore.
Yeah. And I was like, "What is this?"
It's because he got a bomb-proof vest on, dude.
It was a dirt grenade.
DOD vest.
It was
it's like this big.
It was a sand grenade that only went this direction. So all those guys die. Then he runs upstairs to go get Jessica Alba. Jessica Alba is not a fighter or has no martial arts training, but yet she's punching them.
They specifically say she's like an ex-special forces, like
in order to explain.
Like at the beginning, she's like, "I saw too much death in war. That's why I'm helping these kids. I'm helping the kids now."
Jessica is being manipulated because she saved a bunch of kids in Thailand who were being sex trafficked trafficked and sold off Cambodia. There's the other location. But finally, you know, so she's being manipulated, and that's her storyline.
Yep.
So, but she's like punching people and kicking people, but then she just gets shot.
And she's cool.
Perfectly fine.
She's fine.
Yeah, I'm good.
Gunshot.
You expect Jason to get shot, but Jason never gets shot. His perfectly washboard abs never
Deflect
get
the bullets.
He shows that off every chance he gets.
Every chance he
Every
gets,
other
he takes
scene,
his-
he's like,
There needs to be a drinking game. How many times does Jason Statham take his shirt off? You have to take a drink.
So he runs
I would
upstairs
be dead.
to go and find her at this little fancy pool in this boat, and more guys start shooting at him. And this most hilarious thing is he's doing competent kung fu that looks cool, but we were waiting for this all film long, so it's like, god damn it, and they show it here. So he simultaneously throws a guy and throws a grenade into the pool, and you're like, why did he throw the grenade into the pool? And he's punching and kicking other guys, and eventually he throws another guy.
later.
No, it's not 30 minutes. That guy falls into the pool at the perfectly timed explosion where it goes,
And he turns into a balloon of gut blood.
and we burst out laughing in the theater, and everybody around. Well, there was only like a few other people, and I don't know. They started to laugh with us. We started to turn this theater from this deadly serious, shitty action film into this hilarious comedy. Because after that point, people were laughing at other things.
It had a chance to be like UHF. I think a lot in like the Rambo scene where he's like right up against the AK guy. They were like going towards a UHF type of feeling, and they just were so serious about it. And every line Jason has, even no matter how horrible it's written, he's just like dead Jason Statham.
The lines were so bad. I wish I could remember them. They're so unforgettable. But quite possibly the icing on the cake, before we give you our final verdict, is so he's murdered all these guys. He threw the guy in the pool
accidentally murdered.
Turns into a blood grenade, basically. And then finally he's like, okay, I gotta kill the guy before he takes off in this helicopter from his yacht. So he runs over there and he does his leaping thing again, but he leaps into a raft, this little raft, while guys are shooting, machine guns at him. They're shooting this raft, and instead of shooting back at the guys, he shoots at all the cables holding the raft up, except for one, so that the raft can fall and then spin because it's hanging from a raft. So while he's in the raft and the thing is spinning, he goes like this.
And they're all shooting it with high caliber machine guns. And this raft is
Greatest thing I've ever
Assault
seen.
rifles.
And assault rifles, and apparently this raft is bulletproof now.
Product placement for the raft. I want that raft. I want that raft too.
That was the most funny part of the
I think
movie.
the best part
Whole
is that the
theater was
bullets were
laughing.
like sparking off of it. They were shooting and there was like metal sparks coming off this inflatable
It's
raft.
an inflatable raft.
Oh man.
And assault rifle bullets can't penetrate it. It's just too small.
And I just love that like the bad guy is always like, you're so good at this.
So there was no reason to make this movie. I have no idea how this ended up in theaters. This is literally a bad direct-to-DVD action film starring a guy that I really like. And it was sad to see because it was almost as if Jason was parodying himself. It's as if this film was like, let's get a guy that's like Jason Statham and do sort of the transporter, but they had incompetent writers, they had an incompetent director.
He never drove in this movie.
Yeah. They had all these people that didn't know what they were doing except for some of the fight scenes, but it was too little too late. And then Jason was like, I'll do it. And they're like, what,
I'm
really?
available.
And they're like, oh shit, who else can we get? Who else needs work? Jessica Alba needs work.
Tommy Lee Jones
needs work.
I think they all had to pay a bill this month.
I want to say that just for the record,
They all had to pay a bill.
even though Tommy Lee was in that shitty movie, he was the best actor in the entire movie.
He actually did
He
pretty
sold
well.
his part.
Yeah, he
for
did.
how shitty his part
Well,
was.
what
He
was
sold
he?
it. He was a super arms dealer.
He's an arms
He was a
dealer.
super arms
In
dealer that
the United States.
owned Mexicans. He was very clear that he supplied the Mexicans in the United States.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
And he controlled Australia and China's black market arms. And he had a super submarine base, and he was cocky, and he was just like super down to earth.
These were all James Bond villains.
Yeah,
He was
Yeah, they had elements of Bond
They were all
in this
James
movie,
Bond villains.
and with none of the foundation.
So he kills all the main bad guys' thugs, and it's down to just him. And you're thinking, okay, they're gonna have this badass fight. It's gonna be they're both child soldiers. This is gonna be some of the best kung fu we've seen. And instead, it's not kung fu. Jason beats the shit out of him until the guy takes an anchor that apparently he can lift.
he can throw an anchor.
Not heavy
The
at
dude
all.
hasn't been skipping arms day. That's
An anchor that can hold that boat.
So
which is
he
like
fights
so
with an
really
anchor until he fucking obviously Jason kills his ass, but he's like, ha ha ha! I already engaged the self-destruct mechanism on my fucking yacht. Which, by the way, prior he puts Jessica Alba in a escape pod from this yacht that has
It was like a
escape
diving
pod,
bell or
a
something,
diving
yeah.
escape pod, so she's safe. And he's like, you'll never swim in time for this explosion. You'll never get clear of the explosion. You'll never swim. And he's like, I don't plan to swim. And then he runs back inside the yacht. And you don't see him again. And
This movie sounds better and better.
and then the yacht explodes in the worst CGI explosion I have seen this year, last year, the year before that.
It was like some guy was like, all right, let's hire a college intern to do this.
It was so
He's
shitty.
like, don't worry, I got Adobe After Effects.
No, it was done in fucking MS Paint.
He just like cut out an explosion.
No,
and
he
dragged
just
it over
purchased
the-
a stock footage. No, I'm serious, guys. This is probably one of those stock footage things that you could buy for $10 and put it over the ship, because I swear I could have seen the fire move and without the ship moving. So they had these little mini explosions, and then Jessica Alba pops up, boing, pulls up, and she opens the door. She's, oh no, Jason's dead. So she doesn't say anything. And then just right then, so happens to be a rescue ship comes, and you get this wide shot of this yacht wreckage that looks even worse than the previous explosion.
Somehow it's not sinking.
Yeah, it's still floating.
It's still floating.
It's terrible. And so they wrap it up, and it's like, oh, Jason, the mechanic is dead for sure.
Her line is so great. She like it's on this stretcher, and she's like being brought to the ambulance, and she's like, "Are there any survivors?"
Yeah, that's the writing summed up right there. The first thing she says after the love of her life has been destroyed, and it's just this line delivery that is so flat and bored. It's like she literally was probably just collecting a check.
And then she did.
Are there any survivors?
And then she did the whole.
They're like, no. And they show all the pieces are there, and they're bringing in one piece, which looks to be like an anchor compartment of the boat, and they kind of linger on it. Tommy Lee Jones is there just to see if his new partner in crime was able to survive. He does, and he looks up, he sees a camera, so foreshadowing, he leaves, and later on, Tommy Lee Jones, the smart villain he is looking at the footage and doing research on this anchor compartment, and he realizes that it's perfectly airtight, and if a ship explodes, and in Photoshop he cuts out this 1910 picture of this person and puts it into he's like this and see if it fits, and it does fit, and he's like, you clever bastard. But just then, if he would have waited, he didn't need to manipulate Photoshop. If he would have just waited, the footage shows Jason coming out of the compartment. He's like, you clever bastard. He's like, boom. Boom, you're so dead, or something like that. I'm gonna get you next time.
He was making a reference to him faking his death. He's like, boom, you're dead, and then he deleted the footage.
Okay.
You're
It's
dead
just
again.
to help him out.
Yeah, so now
Okay.
you can go do whatever the fuck you want.
Oh,
And
boom,
it
you're
was his
dead.
second
Yep.
sequel.
I thought that they were gonna try to set up a third where he's the bad guy and he comes after Jason to
No.
silence him. But no, at least it had a resolution. Please, God, don't make any more, or if you do. Go full on parody, because this would have been so much better as like just a full on parody
would've.
of all of his previous films, and of Transporter, of all these different things.
It was
and also
like-
if there was a point where instead of climbing up the side of the building and drilling a hole in the pool, that he rang his doorbell and the guy went to his doorbell and he ran and he hit him like he does in Transporter. exploder, and the guy falls into his pool, cracks his pool, and falls to his death. That would have been way funnier, way more entertaining. So, final verdicts for Mechanic Resurrection.
Start with this.
Start with Pete.
All right, guys.
You've seen the original, you know
I
of the
know
original.
of the original.
Probably the only one that knew that this.
Right. So what I would say, this as a base movie is a 2 out of 10. It is absolutely terrible.
It is awful.
But it's so bad that it's good.
That it goes over.
Oh my god. It's so
bring beer. Though.
You have to include the schlock factor and just the cheese factor, and it elevates to a solid 5 out of 10.
Yeah, but don't watch it alone, because it's way better with friends. It's way better with alcohol, and know what you're getting into as you go into it. Stuff like it's like Commando. Except for Commando is like a 10 out of 10 bad movie, 10 out of 10 bad movie. This is a 2 out of 10 entertaining bad movie.
Steve.
I gotta go with a 3.
Yeah.
It was a 3, but it was the most pleasant 3 I've ever watched. Honestly, I was like,
the other
as
three
far as 3s go, the other 3
was Don't Breathe.
was
You
like
really
Don't
hated
Breathe.
Don't Breathe.
I hated Don't Breathe. I thought Don't Breathe was like the stupidest.
Everybody was mad.
Why are there? Okay, I can just. Why
They
are there
were
so
mad
many
at us for
bad
not liking
movies?
Don't
Like I
Breathe.
don't know, but anyway, it's a really good 3.
Okay.
It's a great 3. Joe.
I'm gonna give this a 4.
Yeah.
It was a great cheesy, like Pete said. I kind
Slightly below average.
Yeah, because it was basically it knocked it back to like an 80s, 90s action flick.
No.
That's basically what it took.
No.
Yes, that's what it took me to.
Do you think that they were taking it seriously?
I
Do you
honestly
think that
do
they were?
not.
It was
When
self-referential
I honestly
humor.
do not. Whenever
You don't
they
think
saw
it was
they're
all?
like, fuck it, let's.
With Jason's acting, dude, he was so serious about it.
That's just
Do
the way
you
he
think it's a
is.
comedy?
He's serious in what was that movie, Spy? But it was a comedy. He was serious though.
But Joe, do you think it's a comedy or do you think they played it straight? They
I
played
want
it
to
straight,
say it's
clearly.
a comedy.
No, they played it straight.
They played it straight, but I'm gonna say a 4.
Okay.
4.
Beard, do you think that they successfully resurrected the mechanic? Mechanic Resurrection?
No. No.
Man, what would you give?
I'm gonna give it a 2.
Yeah.
Because I love action movies. I'm a huge action movie buff. And this movie is a travesty.
Yeah, this is one.
It's like a cheesy 90s film.
Was it a good 2?
Not even a good 2.
Go back and watch like
No, I
those
can't do
films.
this again. No.
You wouldn't watch it again?
No. Hell no.
I want to just see the 3 parts. I want to see the part where he lands on the hand glider in the middle of the air in Brazil.
Like we had so much fun. It's like, hey, don't do that again.
I want to see that part. I want to see the part where he goes to after he kills, he's like, you're going to kill these people. He's like, no. And he runs away from Brazil. Then he gets caught again in an entrapment. He knows he's being trapped with Jessica Alba, and he's like, they sent you to fall in love with me. And he falls in love with her anyway.
Yes.
He's like, okay.
Then he goes and then he actually goes and kills these people for the guy. He kills 2 of them before going to the boat and beating everybody up and then leaving. He just leaves. And like,
now we gotta kill you 4 more.
Killed 4 more people.
That's a slap on the wrist, Jason. Don't do that.
Come on.
And then this
Killing my guys are bad.
And then a disembodied voice explaining his 3rd target. And then Tommy Lee Jones. And then the scene where he fires off that dirt grenade that kills 7 people. And then the pool
I'm
grenade.
gonna change mine to 10.
If you go through all these funny things,
Come on.
I really have to give it. I'm with you, Joe. It's a 4.
Come on.
And I'm basing that because it was so hilarious to me that it kept piling on ridiculous shit, and they played it so fucking straight. It is not a comedy. It's not
it's
intended.
not.
I swear to God, everybody involved, maybe not the actors. The actors probably knew this is shit. You know, I'm getting paycheck. But like the crew and stuff thought they were making a serious action film with Jason in it. It's like, this is going to be his next big hit. And it was fucking awful. Nobody was in the theater except for us. We filled up the theater with the Angry Army. And I didn't even know this movie was coming out. But I saw Jason, I was like, we gotta go.
Yeah.
and it was worth it in that sense.
Yes.
But don't go alone. Don't go without beer, and you can wait totally till it comes out on
it's a
Netflix.
rental.
Watch it on
It's gonna be on
Netflix.
Netflix in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
This thing is gonna bomb, but it is a hilarious bomb.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this completely spoiler-filled, absolute chaos review. But we all had to get in this because we had such a good night. Thanks, Pete, for showing up with us, and Angry Beard, and Robert back there at the back.
I forgot one fact, though.
Yeah, run in here real quick.
Get in there.
Professional setup here.
Yes.
Yeah, we forgot one thing. After they found out, because apparently this guy knows exactly how he thinks. After he found out that he might have gotten the ship code, don't you think they might have changed boats? Changed location?
Oh, he stays on the same fucking boat.
They just drive
And
away.
then, wait, even more. After
no.
he kills more guys, kills 4 more guys, says, don't do it again, Jason. They're still on the same boat. Apparently the same guys come back to life,
Not
though.
too expensive, Robert.
So I guess he uses a helicopter to look for that boat. He needed the number to figure out where the boat was. Then he realizes the boat is gone, and so he purchased a helicopter, and he's like, just fly out in the middle of the ocean. He's like, okay, boss, you're paying. And so Jason gets the helicopter pilot to fly out in the middle of the ocean, and he's like, stay. He finally finds it, just amazingly
How would
finds
you
this
not
boat.
see that? They're like, their yacht is covered with guards. Stay sharp. A helicopter out of nowhere.
They don't see
was
it.
no
Oh. No, it's far enough away, Joe, and it's low enough to the ocean. And he's like, hover low, and then he falls down. But he never tells the helicopter guy, stay here, I'll be back. Or something like that. So it's like the helicopter guy's probably
The
like,
guy died. He ran out of gas.
He's like, what do I do now?
he's like, should I stay here? Fuck this guy.
I think I like the part where he's like, we gotta get all his guards off the boat, he's got a private army. So they all show up, and then he goes to the boat and has the same exact number of guards as he did the first time. He kills everyone again. But it's just so bad.
Anyways, so thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys on the next Angry Joe Show. Yes, I'm working on reviews, but this was too fun not to share with you guys. Bye.